time in memoriam, there have always been greedy men who believed that everything had a price. Property, influence, reputation, respect, even love. These men spare no expense to satisfy their selfish desires and indulge their vanity. Fortunately for the rest of us, these men are outnumbered by the dead and buried, the inconspicuous silent majority of Earth's inhabitants who, for as long as their successors continue to tread on the earth, will not succumb to any deal with the devil. Attorney Westbrook is one such man, a man who spent his entire career convincing judges, juries, and clients that every situation was negotiable. Contracts were his scripture, wealth his theology, extortion his religion. Unfortunately for Mr. Westbrook, there existed another jurisdiction, one where contracts were written long before attorneys learned to bill by the hour. Friday evening settled comfortably over Boston as Marlin, Eric's chauffeur, guided Eric's Rolls-Royce toward Rose Wharf, with Eric riding in the back seat. At dock number 5 awaited the Providence, Eric's 175-foot luxury yacht. The crew greeted him with practiced smiles. Captain Reynolds, Engineer Collins, 2 deckhands, and Winston, his personal chef, whose hot-buttered lobster rolls were rumored to rival those served anywhere along the New England coast, even Newport. Their destination, Martha's Vineyard, where Eric owned a 10,000-square-foot mansion with a spectacular ocean view situated on a bluff located in West Tisbury. In his cabin, Eric consumed 2 chocolate martinis before the yacht even cleared the harbor. He believed that self-indulgence through cocktails should never wait. As the Boston skyline disappeared behind the ship, Winston served Eric the freshly prepared lobster roll accompanied by a brandy Alexander to wash it down. The digestive was prepared precisely to Eric's specifications: heavy cream, nutmeg, and Tempus Fugit creme de coco. Eric chuckled to himself. The newspapers had frightened half the country away from consuming chocolate. He considered this panic ridiculous. Fear, after all, was something other people purchased, but not him. Needless to say, Eric knew that Godiva had discontinued its production of chocolate liqueur years ago, so he was safe. He was looking forward to a peaceful weekend and intended to enjoy every minute of it from the moment his ship disembarked. After finishing his brandy, his cell phone vibrated. He looked down. One message across a flashing screen. "You have threatened Thomas." He smirked. Spam. Another message. "You have threatened us." His smirk disappeared. A third message arrived almost instantaneously. "Family first." Eric stood. Enough. He pointed his index finger toward the delete key, and before he could touch the screen, one final message appeared. "You must go." He stared at the screen. No sender, no number, no signal. Then his cell phone went dark. By now, after downing 3 adult beverages in less than 30 minutes, Eric was feeling a bit lightheaded. He proceeded topside and headed directly to the aft of the ship, where he hoped some fresh air would help him settle his stomach and revive his senses. Instead, nausea struck him with astonishing force. His knees weakened. The horizon tilted. He reached for the railing. The yacht lurched against a rising swell. His grip slipped. For one brief moment, Eric Westbrook, the man who owned homes on 3 continents and believed himself master of every negotiation, hung suspended between wealth and water. Then gravity rendered its verdict. The Atlantic accepted him without objection. He fell overboard. No one saw him. His cries vanished beneath the wind, and within seconds he disappeared beneath the ocean's cold, black surface. Winston went to Eric's cabin to see if there was anything else Eric wanted to eat or drink before he headed to bed. Eric was not there. Winston set out to look for him. After 15 minutes of checking every corner of the ship, Winston called Captain Reynolds to inform him that Eric was missing. Reynolds asked him, "Are you sure he was aboard the ship when we left?" "Positive. I served him dinner and 3 cocktails only a short while ago." Reynolds immediately summoned all hands on deck. They searched, but Eric could not be found. Panic replaced routine. A ship-to-shore emergency call was made, and the Coast Guard responded immediately. Helicopters swept searchlights across the ocean. Cutters combed the waves until dawn. Just after sunrise, a Coast Guard rescue diver located what remained of Eric Westbrook. The sea had not been his final visitor. Nature had continued its work. Eric's blood-soaked body was found floating amidst the wind-swept whitecaps, torn to shreds by scavenging great white sharks. When the Suffolk County medical examiner completed the autopsy later that afternoon, the conclusion surprised everyone. The sharks had merely snacked on Eric. They did not cause his death. Eric Westbrook had been dead long before the sharks arrived. According to the coroner's report, Eric's cause of death, acute cyanide poisoning. And now, it's time for us to take a brief respite to listen to an intermezzo conceived by world-renowned composer Eduard X, after which the saga of Thomas Martin will resume. We continue. Earlier that same morning, just after midnight, Thomas Martin sat alone in his prison cell. By that time, the whispering in the corridors had ceased. Then his impossible cell phone illuminated. One message appeared. "It is done." A second text followed. "He will no longer bother you." Then a final message. "What goes around comes around." Thomas remained motionless. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. Instead, he texted a response. "You judged him." No reply came back. None was necessary. By cosmic coincidence, at the very same time Martin received his series of texts, Emily was preparing for bed in her home in Ashwick. Her phone vibrated once, only once. One message. "Your brother sleeps with the fishes." Emily frowned. The words made no sense to her. It sounded too much like Hollywood mafia speak from The Godfather. However, by sunrise, the words made all too much sense to her. Her cell phone rang. It was Eric's law firm. Their managing partner spoke gently. "There has been an accident." Within hours, Emily learned everything. The yacht, the Coast Guard, the sharks, the autopsy, the poison. Emily did not shed a tear. Then came an even bigger surprise. Eric's partner told her that, as Eric's only surviving relative, Eric had left her everything. His Boston residence, his homes abroad, his investment portfolio, the yacht, his law practice, his entire fortune. Emily was now a billionaire. Then the attorney cleared his throat. "There is one additional matter." "Yes?" "Your brother left specific burial instructions." Emily waited. "He requested burial in Thomas Martin's cemetery." Emily slowly lowered the phone. In her head, she questioned why, after spending his final days plotting to seize Martin's property, Eric now wished to remain buried there for all eternity. Emily was confused. Irony occasionally possesses an unusually dark sense of humor. Inside the State Correctional Institution, the news of Eric Westbrook's death reached Thomas Martin before evening roll call. Not through newspapers, not through guards, through whispers. The same voices that had once frightened him now sounded strangely protective. Not affectionate, protective. Martin began methodically assembling the pieces of the puzzle. His grandfather's warnings, the impossible coffins, the impossible evidence, the text messages, Eric's death. An unsettling realization emerged. The dead had not merely continued existing. They had organized like striking factory workers on a picket line. They behaved less like wandering spirits and more like an ancient family whose loyalties remained stronger than mortality itself. They remembered insults. They remembered kindness. Most importantly, they remembered that blood is thicker than water. Back in his cell, Thomas looked toward the darkness. "When my trial begins," a whisper answered before he finished, "we will be attending." The fluorescent lights dimmed. Another whisper followed, "Families stand together." Thomas felt no comfort, only certainty. For the first time since his arrest, he understood something that troubled him more than being in prison, that the courtroom would not only contain 12 jurors, there would also be other observers, invisible, patient, listening, waiting. Perhaps justice belonged to the living, but judgment belonged to something else entirely. Here we now have a deceased attorney who believed every negotiation ended with a signature, an undertaker and genealogist who believed every life ended with a date, and deceased family members who demonstrated that death, far from dissolving loyalty, had strengthened it beyond human imagination. Whether their protection represented love, vengeance, justice, or something mankind had never before encountered remained uncertain. However, one fact became unmistakably clear. Thomas Martin would not enter his murder trial alone. Some families gather around holiday tables for celebrations. Others gather beside hospital beds. And one extraordinary family gathered quietly behind each witness, each attorney, each juror, and a judge, waiting for the next train, waiting at a place where loyalty survived death itself, a place known as the Conflation Station.